Hello, my name is Javier. I've been an Epik teacher in Korea for 6 years, and this video is for you if you are worried about lesson planning. So let's get right to it. You're lesson planning, so that means that you're going to need some kind of material. And most of the time, you're going to be given a textbook, but sometimes you're not. But it really doesn't matter because with what I'm going to teach you, you're barely going to need the book at all. And if you've watched some other videos on this topic, you've probably heard, okay, you're going to follow the textbook, do the activities, and then you're going to play a game from either Coursera or Taste Toolkit. And you can do that, or you can take lesson planning a little bit more seriously. Lesson planning is more important than the time that you actually spend in class. So you have to think of each lesson like you're creating a mini movie. You're going to set the scene, you're going to start building the tension, and then at the end, you're going to give that climax moment. So every class is going to give you a chance to create that experience. And if you walk in and you just follow the book and then you play a game, you're really wasting that opportunity for yourself and for your students. Now, don't get me wrong, I use the book, but I use the book a little different. I treat the book as a review. So there's 8 chapters in the books that I teach. So that's 2 chapters per test. So right before the test, I do all the material for that chapter, for those 2 chapters. And the students really dread it because sitting down and doing the book is just boring. And most teachers are going to say, well, we play games, but they don't tell you that students are also going to get tired of playing games. They want a little challenge. They don't want to wait for one student to be answering one trivia question. So that's why I encourage you guys to make your own materials. You're the director, the book is a script, and then it's your vision that's going to take that class forward. So before we get to it, we have to narrow it down. What level are you teaching and what is the variance? So we'll talk about that in a little bit. I divide my students into 3 groups. So that's going to be your elementary. That's going to be from the time that they go into school until about the end of their elementary school. Level 2 is going to be about your 5th and 6th graders all the way up until right before they graduate high school. And then your level 3 is going to be your high school seniors and then anybody beyond that. The reason I divide it into 3 groups is because the motivation at each level is going to be completely different. So your level 1, they're going to want a lot of praise. They're going to want claps. They're going to want smiles. Your level 2, they're done with all that. What they're really looking for is for their peers' approval. And then your level 3, they're going to be focused on some type of goal, whether it's an intrinsic goal. They really like listening to music in English, or they like English movies, or something extrinsic like they need it for their job or they need it for their major that they're going to study. So you want to swim with the tide. You want to design lessons that are going to move them in the direction that they're already trying to go. Now for me, I teach middle school and I've taught at 5 schools in 2 cities and in 1 elementary school. And most Epik teachers, they really try to not get placed in middle school, but I'm going to tell you, it's really the best because middle schoolers, they still got a little bit of wild energy, but they have the maturity to do more complex activities and actually have a conversation with you. Let's talk about the variance. The variance is going to be what your class looks like if you put it on a curve. Your big cities, they're going to have very high levels and they're going to have very tight variance. Your rural schools, they're going to be maybe a little bit lower level, and then that variance is going to be very wide. So that means that you might have a student who is a fluent speaker who's sitting next to somebody that doesn't know their ABCs. So that variance is really going to determine how hard it is that you can push that class. How long is each class? Each class is elementary school, it's going to be 40 minutes, middle school 45 minutes, and then high school is going to be 50 minutes. So these classes, they're moving fast, and that's going to be reflected in how we do our lesson planning. So my standard setup is going to be 4 activities, and then your first 3 activities is going to be about 10 minutes. And then the last activity, we can do a big production activity at 15 minutes. So for every middle school that I've taught at, I've always handled the listening and speaking with full freedom. And this is something I don't see many YouTubers talking about, which is that they tell you when you walk into a school, every co-teacher, you're going to have a different experience with the co-teachers. And that is kind of true, but you can throw a wrench in that. What do I mean by that? If you walk in on the first day and you show that you've got a style, that you know the structure, that you know how to do lesson planning, that you already have a plan in mind, they're going to step back and they're going to allow you to run your plan. Now, if you hesitate, that's when you're going to be stuck doing maybe half the class she does the book and then half the class you do a game, which I really don't recommend, because you want that full 45 or 50 or 40 minutes to really build up the class and then give them that satisfying ending at the end. You are the teacher, but really what you are is somewhat of a tour guide and a set designer. And so for that, you're going to need, what is the final destination? Where are you trying to take them? For this example that I'm going to give you guys, we're doing a doctor dialogue. So what I do is, if I know that they have to do a doctor dialogue at the end, I try to build back from there. So what kind of vocabulary do they need? What kind of sentence structure do they need? So for this class, we would need symptoms, and we would need to know how to ask, hey, what's wrong? Oh, I have a, and blah, blah, blah. So now we're going to add another column to our lesson plan, which is going to be our seating arrangement. Sitting down the whole class just kills the energy. So that's why I always start with a standing activity. First activity, that's going to be the mingle. So when I'm walking inside the room, I'm already handing out the flashcards, and these flashcards, they have a picture on one side and then they have a vocabulary word on the back. So what I do is I model the activity, and what they're going to do is they're going to freely be able to walk around and ask, hey, what's wrong? And then the other student has to answer, okay, I have a sore throat, or I have a stomach ache, or whatever it is that they have on that flashcard. And then what I'm doing with this first activity is, not only am I going to get them to stand up, but they are also indirectly pre-learning the vocabulary that they're going to need to do the activity at the end, and they're doing it in a real world situation. Now, let me tell you guys something real quick here. The ability to be able to finish your lesson plan is going to depend on how you transition from one activity to the next. So while the students are doing the mingling, I'm already passing out the worksheet for the next activity. And then when they're doing that second activity, I'm already passing out the material for the next activity, because really there can be no dead time. You're really on Instagram real time. So if you stutter for just a second, that's it. The kids are rolling down on you, okay? Let's get to our second activity. Activity number 2, we're gonna come back down, we're gonna sit down, and we're gonna just write out the vocabulary. For this specific class, I had them draw the vocabulary because I want to see, okay, if the word that they're writing and the drawing that they're making corresponds with each other, then they're actually understanding what that is. Most English teachers, what they're going to do is give them the Korean translation, and I completely disagree with that, because what I'm trying to do is rewire their brain. So I want them to be able to look at the picture and then automatically get to the English word. I don't want them to look at the picture and then go to the Korean and then try to translate the Korean to English. That's very roundabout. I just want to get that direct connection from the concept to the English.
Sore throat, fever.
All right, so activity number 3 is gonna be an activity I call taboo. This activity is a little bit tough to model. So what I did was I prepared a video and I showed them this video, and they quickly get a hand on what it is that they're going to do. This is something you can do if you have an activity that's kind of hard to model, where you need various people to do certain roles. And so you can just prepare something beforehand. All right, so let's get to our last activity. That's going to be the doctor role play. Every time that you do a speaking activity, a large speaking activity, there has to be some kind of incentive for them to want to do it, whether they're gathering kind of points or something, or whether they're building up to something. So for this one, it's going to be that there's going to be some humor involved. So the doctor is going to prescribe a very funky kind of medicine, and this is going to get them laughing, and it's going to want them to do the activity over and over again. So when they're just laughing and they're having fun, they're not really realizing that they're learning English, they're just having fun. And this is really what I want. This is an interesting setup that I have for this activity. So what I do is I assign students A or B based on whatever dialogue role that they're playing. And you want to make sure that before you do this, that each column is an even column, so that you have 4 or 6 students in one column. And then you're going to label that first row B, and that first row is going to flip their chairs around and talk to the person behind them. So now these two A, B right here, these are going to be one pair. B student is actually, when they're finished with the activity, you can let them know, hey, we're moving on. And then that B student is going to move to the other student behind that. So they're going to end up being able to talk to various people throughout the activity. And then once you've ran it for a couple times, you can let them know, okay, we're going to switch roles. So the patient is going to become the doctor and the doctor is going to become the patient. This is a tough formation to pull off, and the first time that they see it, they're really confused. But once you've done it a couple times, it runs really smooth. So teaching is really about starting very simple. You're going to build up that intensity, and then you're going to create the environment where the students would use that language naturally. The textbook is really not going to give you that, and a game is also not going to give you that, but a good lesson plan is. So you are the guide. We're not building up to a game. Rather, the lesson plan feels like a big puzzle or a maze that they're slowly trying to figure out. So when my students, they leave class, I want them to be thinking like, oh, I figured it out, instead of, oh, my teacher taught me this. And when I start the lesson, when I go to build a lesson, what I do is I ask myself, with the structure that I'm required to teach, what is the scenario that is going to fit best? And then I work backwards from there and I let the students rebuild it during the class. If you like this video, subscribe, comment, give me a like, and then show me some support. I'll see you on the next one.